I will never forget the night she told me I wasn't enough. Not as a man, not as a husband, and worst of all, not as a father. We had just found out she was pregnant. I was overjoyed, ready to give my everything for the tiny life growing inside her. But instead of celebrating, she looked at me with cold eyes and said words I will never erase from my memory. You can't even provide for us now. How will you raise a child? I don't want our baby to grow up poor. Her words crushed me. I wanted to believe she was scared, maybe overwhelmed, but deep down I knew this wasn't fear, it was greed. For months, I worked double shifts, saved every coin, skipped meals just to prove I could be a good father. But to her, it wasn't enough. Nothing ever was. One evening, I came home early, excited to share the baby's ultrasound picture I had framed. But when I walked in, the apartment was empty. Her clothes were gone. Her jewelry box was missing. On the table, a letter waited. It said, "I don't want to live this life. I don't want to raise a child in poverty. I've found someone who can give me the future I deserve. Don't try to find me." That night I collapsed on the floor, clutching the ultrasound picture against my chest. Tears soaked the paper until it blurred. She had chosen wealth over love, luxury over family, and in doing so, she abandoned not just me, but our unborn child. From that night forward, I knew it was just me and my baby against the world. The months were brutal. I worked harder than I thought possible. Day and night, I saved every penny, prepared for the arrival of the child she didn't want. And when my son was born, everything changed. The first time I held him, tiny and fragile in my arms, I realized I didn't need her. I didn't need anyone. He was my reason, my strength, my purpose. Every cry, every sleepless night, every sacrifice only made me love him more. I wasn't just a father. I was his entire world. I raised him with everything I had. I was both mother and father. I taught him how to walk, how to talk, how to dream. And through every hardship, I made a promise to him. You will never feel abandoned. You will never feel unloved. I will give you the life she thought I couldn't. Years passed. I worked, I hustled, I built. What started as small jobs turned into a business. What began as struggle turned into stability. And stability grew into success. By the time my son turned 10, I was no longer the poor man she had abandoned. I had a home, a thriving business, and most importantly, a happy child who looked at me with pride. He never once asked about his mother. To him I was enough, and to me, he was everything. But fate has a way of testing us. One afternoon, after years of silence, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and there she was, the woman who once called me too poor to be a father, the woman who left me for wealth. She looked nothing like the person I remembered. Her once perfect hair was messy, her makeup faded, her eyes hollow. She was older, weaker, broken. She whispered my name. "Please, can we talk?" I froze. My son came running to the door, curious. When he saw her, he tilted his head. "Papa, who is this woman?" Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes. She bent down and said softly, "I'm your mother." My son looked at her, and then at me. He frowned and shook his head. "No, my papa is both my mother and father. I don't know you." Her face went pale. The rejection cut her deeper than anything. She begged, cried, tried to explain how she had made a mistake. But my son, innocent yet wise beyond his years, hid behind me and refused to go near her. For the first time she realized the truth. The child she abandoned no longer saw her as family. That night, She sat in my living room, hands trembling, eyes swollen from crying. She told me her story, how the rich man she left me for eventually left her, how she had no home, no money, no one. She said she wanted to be a part of her son's life again. I listened. I let her speak. But inside, I felt no anger, no hate, just emptiness. When she finally finished, I looked at her and said calmly, "You said I was too poor to be a father, but look at him. Look at the boy I raised alone. He is strong, kind, and happy, and he doesn't need you. He never did." Her tears fell harder. She whispered, "Please, give me another chance." But before I could answer, my son spoke for himself. He stood tall, his small hands clenched in fists, and said, "You left us." "Papa never left. I don't want you." Her sobs filled the room. I stood, walked to the door, and opened it. "You made your choice years ago," I told her, "and now you live with it." She left that night, her figure disappearing into the darkness. And that was the last time she ever came back. Today, my son is grown, strong, successful, kind, everything I dreamed he would be. Sometimes I catch him looking at me with admiration and he says, "Papa, you're my hero." And I realize I never needed her. Neither of us did, because family isn't defined by who gives birth to you. Family is defined by who stays, who fights for you, who loves you when the world walks away. And on the day she left, she gave me the greatest gift without even realizing, yet the chance to prove that I was not too poor to be a father. I was rich, in love, in sacrifice, in strength, and that wealth can never be measured in money.